Dan Rothenberg and Joe Klosik, two guys trying to figure it out. Not the right wing, not the brosphere. Left of center, with humor and empathy.
All right, Joey, what are we talking about? This is your.
I'll tell you what we're talking about today, Dan.
Yep.
Here's our topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did our parents influence our politics, philosophy? How did they influence how we turned out? Like the kind of comedy we did, our views on things. I look back at my parents who have both passed on at this point. So I reminisce a little bit at times, and I was coming across some old photos and looking at them. And, I think in some ways I had a very classical Midwestern upbringing. I had very, very good salt of the earth kind of people, very, went to church on Sunday, very Catholic. We didn't really want for much. I wouldn't say we were rich, right? But, there was also like this emotional distance in the house. There was not a lot of like, good for you, keep that up. And my parents were very conservative. My mom was very religious. I mean, she was an ex-nun. So God, the Bible, being Catholic was super important to my mother.
But she was an ex-nun. Can you be a religious ex-nun? That means she.
Yes,
she was really religious, except for the fact that she was a nun that had sex.
Yeah. She was deeply religious, except for the fact that she no longer was a member of the church.
Turned her back
completely
on her convent. Is that what that would be?
Divorce God. Yeah.
You got something you got to understand about us Jews. I don't know the difference. What's between Catholic, Protestant, Lutheran? It's all. I don't get it. Please. It's all the same dude. I don't get seriously. I'm not kidding.
I know you're right.
Same dude.
Here's the thing.
On a cross.
He was a Jew. He was a Jew too.
That too, right?
Yeah.
Let's leave that out. He was a. Let's leave out the fact that he was a Jewish. What was he? A contractor or a? Where did he build?
Carpenter.
He was a Jewish carpenter.
It wasn't like he was walking in there with the 12 disciples like, yeah, I think we can have that done now. What do you think about that?
I'll tell you a little secret about. Do you want to actually know about Jesus?
Yeah, tell me about Jesus.
You want to? Because I actually know, because I'm a Jew. Yeah. Jews, we talk.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. He's a carpenter.
What's the word?
Okay. Yeah. He wanted to have a big sort of sale, right? He was looking to have a big sale. And he got one of those things, one of those blow up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of those blow up used car salesmen.
Yeah. On a cross. Yeah. Back then, they didn't have it was just a big kind of advertising campaign. Him on a cross was just a sign. And these people ran with it.
They ran with it.
Yeah.
So you think that's what really happened? They
didn't
crucify him.
Then
he started a religion. It was like, hey, come on down to Jerusalem. Do you need an addition on your house?
Yes, and then from a marketing thing, he went with it. He's not going to turn his back.
He followed it. Yeah.
And he's not going to turn his back on the. You got a following. Anyway, that's how that went down.
That's terrible. That might.
Yeah,
but they didn't have billboards. They just had guys on crosses yelling.
It was a billboard.
Hey, do you need some home repair work?
So, but yeah, honestly, the whole, we don't got to get into that, but the Catholic, Protestant, it's a dude died for our sins, right? What is the difference?
Yeah. No, it's the same dude in all of them. It's like, there's subtle differences. Like
subtle, not so subtle. Subtle enough.
Well, according to my mom, there was the Catholics, there was our way, and then everyone else was going to hell. So that was pretty simple,
right?
For me, that's simplified. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what about my Episcopalian friend going to hell? What about the Protestant girl that lives next door going to hell? What about the Jewish kids that go to the other school in town?
Definitely going to hell.
Yeah, definitely going to hell.
Would your mom say that?
Yes.
You're going out.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so she was not.
Very, very classic brimstone. Yeah. I
Okay,
mean, she was
follow.
very much of that age.
But she left the convent.
It's confusing, right? So yeah, so the
Yeah.
story goes, she was so she was a nun for 10 years, and at the
Hmm.
10-year mark, you take your final vows because they really
Hmm.
want to make sure, you know,
Yeah.
have a very, very, very long internship,
Uh huh.
right? And the story goes that she decided, yeah, she didn't hear God's calling,
Hmm.
which is a long time to go, of just like, what? So
So in the
10
last minute.
years. Yeah, and yeah, but I mean, that's
Really?
all the information we ever got out of her. It was there was obviously a lot of guilt there. There was obviously more to it because I remember once she told us, like, well, I was very sick. I ended up being very sick. So that's why I left. And I'm like, yeah, but mom, right now you work at a hospital for really sick nuns. So being sick doesn't mean you need to leave. She just didn't want to talk about it. I
Hmm.
don't, I don't think there was anything like Sound of Music. Like, no, my father and her had
That
that.
is
That
where
would have
my
been
mind
cool.
went.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, she left, and I really think that she just wasn't feeling it for whatever reason. But she still stayed
She
religious.
stayed religious.
Yeah,
Okay. And
I mean, she even like for the last 20 years of her life, she dressed like a nun. I remember realizing like she's wearing this all black long frock with a cross around her neck, and I'm like, you look like a nun. Like
mhm.
what? I don't know.
Okay. And um so this is an interesting topic. We look back and yeah, how did that affect you? How did the
Well, I
religion
mean the big
affect you?
thing, I mean, in the classic sense, right? Like I went the exact
Hmm.
opposite from what my parents believed, politically, socially, religiously, right? Like, and I'm not saying this to be mocking, because I do see that my mom, was sad, and there was a couple
Hmm.
of times where she told me, like, I'm trying to pass on to you the most important thing that I can
Mm.
give you, you know, um, which, you know, even as in second grade, I'm like, this is bullshit.
Hmm.
This is all crazy. I want nothing to do with this. You're telling me that just thinking a sin is the same as committing a sin, and now I'm in second grade and I'm going to hell. Like
Hmm.
that's like
So you weren't
where
buying it
my
in the
I
second
was
grade.
not buying it.
You weren't
No,
buying it.
no, I
So
was not buying it. Yeah, yeah.
you were thinking and reasoning and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got into my own problem, right? And it's
uh-huh.
nice to romanticize it, but it wasn't like, I was a rebel in school. I was pretty introverted and quiet, but I remember thinking, because we had a religion class. It was a class to teach us Catholicism, right? All the rules and saints, and there was so much to keep track of, right? And I just remember thinking like this is all nuts. This is all, but I didn't say that at the time. I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, that's the right answer. I'll put that on there.
And when you look back on that, compared to other kids, I imagine who were taking it in and believers, do you how do you make sense of that? Is that just at the core, just not who you are, or
I
do you
think
feel like it
so.
was kind of a rebellion against your parents?
No, but that's the interesting thing. Like years later, when we did start to butt heads and it really, became vocal,
Hmm.
they were like, when did this happen? How did this suddenly? I'm like, this isn't sudden. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Hmm.
Like I've been absorbing and listening and paying attention, and I kind of feel like at this point I should let you know that I don't share your beliefs, which was crushing to my mother. Um,
Mm.
but I can't step into what other kids were thinking too. I think I was thinking more then than most other kids. I think they were just like, okay, whatever. They're like, yeah, there's God and there's Jesus, and that's that. Maybe when they got older, I think they started to think, and that's when they either bought in or they didn't buy
Hmm.
in, right? But Yeah, so because of that, I think I, as a young adult, um, it made me question a lot of stuff that people were believing, which I think
Hmm.
ended up making us comedians, right? Like I think a good comedian is always in the back asking questions. You
Hmm.
know, you're not just people watching, you're asking questions because you're coming at things from a different angle, right? You're coming at
Hmm.
things from this curious inquiry, right? This like, hey, yeah, I see what you guys are saying, but what if?
Right. Comedy comedy is in some ways it's the opposite of rigidity. It's creating if you think about even the act of laughing, it's a reaction. Somehow your nervous system is kind of shaken a little bit. It's psychological flexibility. It's looking at it a little differently, which again makes some comedy kind of boring. When it's easy and spoon fed, it tends to be less, maybe less interesting or less artistic. Which again, that's all subjective. But yeah, so you're saying you came. So from your point of view, do you look at your childhood and say, "Yeah, I can see the trajectory to being a comedian. I
Yeah,
was a young Catholic boy questioning, and I started off questioning
you make it
when I
sound
was
like a
young."
country song.
Uh huh.
I like that. I was a young country boy, and Jesus looked good. Okay, no, that's not the. Um, I mean, I also do remember thinking, like, as I got a little bit older, I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, Jesus has got abs. I can see like some of the other girls in class looking at him, like, kind of, yeah, this is making me feel a certain way. And then, like,
Hmm.
just a few years later, if any of those girls were with a guy that looked like Jesus, their parents would have lost it.
Right. So again, Jesus is not the prototype in many ways for Christians.
It's so. I mean, I think there's so many mental gymnastics
You've
you
brought
have
that
to
up before,
perform.
right? He was a rebel. He was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he basically led an insurrection. He
Uh huh.
basically, you know, uh, the people that arrested him were really his own people, the Pharisees, the
Hmm.
ruling Jewish elite. He was upsetting everything by saying, "Hey, don't listen to these guys," and it started to upset everything. And some scholars will say, yeah, the Romans were the ones that arrested him, but the Romans only did it because the Pharisees were like, you got to do something about this guy because he's upsetting everything, right? And he was just preaching against any form of like, hey, if you wanna go along with what everyone's telling you and not think it through, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. And also, like the people that are so anti-socialist, anti-communist, have they listened to any of the things that Jesus said? Like he was advocating for the poor. He was
Hmm.
advocating sharing everything with everyone. He was healing people for free,
Hmm.
right? He was giving stuff
He was
away. He
healing
was
people
dispensing.
who
Yeah.
were uninsured.
Yeah. I mean, it
Uh
sounds
huh.
like it sounds like a joke, like a but he was woke before there was woke. He was
Yeah.
2,000 years early at being woke.
Uh
And then
huh.
these people wearing these crosses,
Uh huh.
are cracking down on everyone. And yes, I've said it before, like if Jesus showed up,
Uh huh.
MAGA would hate him
Right. Why? Hmm.
because he's everything that they're told to hate, right? Like free healthcare,
Hmm.
the poor deserve dignity. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to clothe you.
Right.
I'm sure now he'd be an advocate for housing. I'm sure
He'd be an
now he'd be
advocate
an
for housing.
advocate.
He'd be an advocate for uh, coming to coming to the country
Yeah,
and
yeah. I don't think Jesus would have said like, "Hey, let's love everyone except those Mexicans."
uh huh.
Like that's not
Like
Jesus, right? And
it,
even if you go old, yeah,
asylum is a Christian act, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
yeah. I
taking
mean, there's so
taking
many.
in.
There's even things. I mean, if you want to go Old Testament, right? They talk about in God, I used to know the books, all the books, but what's the book that always gets quoted for stoning homosexuals?
I got to tell you, I have no idea. It doesn't. I am ADHD brain can't.
That's okay.
Every time I've been
Leviticus.
yeah,
That's
synagogue, it's just I can't trap it in my head.
I mean, okay, so even if you go like Old Testament, right? Leviticus talks about treating the foreigner how you would want to be treated in their land. Right? Like you're supposed to treat everyone decently. You're supposed to. So again, like if Jesus showed up, he would be surrounded by ICE instantly. You know, he would
Yeah,
be
he'd
arrested.
be
He would be deported.
yeah, he would be if he had a podcast, it would be he'd be called a socialist
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a leftist.
yeah. Of course, yeah. He'd be, you know, you long-haired
Yeah,
hippie. You know, if you don't love America, why don't you get out of here? You know,
right.
all of it, all of it.
Right.
He would be subjected to all that criticism.
And yeah, yeah. And
But to
when
me,
did
that makes sense, right? Like that.
yeah?
To me, that
So
makes
maybe
logical sense.
maybe you're a true Christian and you do
Oh shit!
believe.
Don't put that on me. Don't put that on me.
Some comedians, you could say, like guys like Bill Hicks and Sam Kinison,
Yeah.
had a. It was almost like they were disappointed or disillusioned believers, but there was something about them
Yeah.
that was kind of preaching.
Well, Kinnison came from his father was a preacher at one time, and he was a Pentecostal preacher. You know, brimstone, all the whole thing. Hicks, I don't think he had that in his background, but I think Hicks very much talked about the hypocrisy of religion.
Yeah.
One of the greatest like lines or bits that he has, right, was he talked about doing a show and he was making fun of all the hypocrisy in Christianity. And after the show, there's two guys waiting for him outside. And they're like, "We're gonna beat you up. We're gonna beat the crap out of you, and like, because you didn't like what I said about your religion." And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna beat the shit out of you." And then he just goes, "Forgive me."
Yeah,
Like, okay, here's an opportunity
right.
to practice
Hey, we're Christians.
your religion. Yeah,
We're Christians. We don't think that's funny. Okay, so forgive me.
yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's the most brilliant like turn it. But I mean, that's why. For me, I saw that growing up, but you know, when you're young, you can't really articulate it. I couldn't put it into words like, "Hey, this
It just
is
wasn't.
bullshit."
It just wasn't sitting with you.
It wasn't
sitting well.
sitting. It just
Yeah.
wasn't sitting. It wasn't
Right.
sitting, and it didn't. I didn't understand. Like, okay, that's great that every Sunday we go to church for an hour. We stand up. We're supposed to stand up. We kneel when we kneel. We recite the things that we recite. But then we still go back, and my mom is judging people. My mom is not really following some. You know, my younger brother and I would give her a hard time too because we would point out, like, "Mom, you're not doing some of the stuff that you say you should be doing."
I hear a lot. This is something I've heard more than once. Religious people that are particularly fat shaming and kind of cruel.
Well, Jesus was pretty cut, so
Yeah. Okay. So that
that's where that's coming from.
that would be consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
God marks his chosen by abs.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it.
Let's
Abs.
face it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abs are how we. Yeah. That's the first line of.
Of letting people know they
Yeah.
need to get on their knees.
Okay. So
Anyway, how about your childhood?
my
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, speaking of this, I was just I live in Portland, Oregon. I love to spend time in the city. Like the city is very important to me because it feels real and has something culturally to offer. And I was brought up in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, which was very suburban. There were no suburbs like Detroit because the suburbs of Detroit in the 80s and late 70s really turned its back on the city, really abandoned the city and left it to crime and drugs because all of the the business sort of abandon.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how it was largely black people, minorities stuck in this poverty and stuck in in a cycle of poverty and in a cycle of crime. And then the suburbs used that to perpetuate further kind of racism and tropes from that. But I was also thinking about how, like, there's something about growing up in the suburbs. It is very disconnected. There's a certain, I think there's a certain core values that aren't necessarily passed on, because if you look at how the suburbs were constructed on fleeing and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sort of.
But it's a very comfort. I mean, look, as when I was young, till my family was 12, I lived in very upper middle class Chicago suburbs, and
Yeah.
I felt like, looking back now, our poverty was spiritual.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, like, yes, we had manicured green lawns, we had nice houses, things were quiet, but
Right.
I felt like everybody was just starving for something more.
Well, that's what I mean. There's when you live somewhere that is based on sheltering you from reality, sheltering you from diversity. What values are you putting forward? Basically, get good grades, go to college, be a professional. But other than that, there was something foundational kind of missing compared to what I would imagine it's like in a small town or in a city.
Yeah.
Because your cities and small towns seem to have a certain core to them.
There's community, right? I mean, and
there's
you need
community.
to rely on other people. You need to cooperate more. You need to look out for each other. I would think. I mean, I have a sister that loves small town life, and
Yeah.
she lived in a little tiny farm town in Illinois for a while, and then she moved to Arkansas, and she really sought that out.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if it was because she was fleeing, just the too quiet suburbs. But the thing that always amazed me about my sister was how she knew all of her neighbors. Whereas in the suburbs,
Right.
we didn't know that many of our neighbors.
Not really. There was an isolationist quality to it. Like, picture.
Yeah.
And I'm just judging based on what I see on TV and the movies, that small towns and cities have a certain community to them. But picture you're living in your respective suburb and you got to go get your car jumped from the neighbor. Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's not really comfortable. It's probably kind of an intrusion, and he might help you, but
Or he might shoot you.
Right. I mean, it's the idea is to be in your own home with your own lawn, isolated.
Let me ask you this: who did you spend more time with as a parent, your mom or your dad?
They got divorced when I was 6. It was pretty equal.
Okay.
My dad was everything to me. My dad was my hero, everything. So he influenced me a lot.
What'd your dad do for a living?
My dad was a community college professor.
Okay,
So
professor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's something that rubbed off on me. And this might sound like, I don't mean to
No.
be impressed with this is the Splain. It is what it is. All right.
The Splain.
My dad did instill in me that, for instance, racism is everywhere. The parents of my friends, not so much. It was more like, we're going to, it's okay to make jokes, and it's okay to even make assumptions, and it's nothing personal. And my dad I was brought up to be very aware that if you're a Jew and you say Schwarze, if you're a non-Jew and you use the N-word, whatever, it's just not cool. It's
So that's
unacceptable.
a pretty racism is everywhere. That's a pretty subversive idea in the suburbs.
Yes, yes, and he did instill that in me, that it's damaging. I mean, I think my dad was, if you want to call it a little woke back in the day, he was very aware of what we now would call, microaggressions. That if you say something or take a certain attitude, you could hurt someone's feelings. And and it's not that he was all over me talking about it all the time, but I was very conditioned to have an awareness to that, to be like, wow, there's a lot of in my Jewish community. I was disappointed. There was a lot of the idea of reverse racism. That was the first sort of the first kind of inkling in the 80s of how we can switch things, flop things around,
let's
and
take this
play the
word
victim.
and-
This idea of which is now very popular. White people or people in power are kind of playing the victim. So that that kind of had an effect on me. Whereas my mom,
that's profound.
yeah, I guess so. And at the same time, my parents sort of, my mom was the opposite. My mom was more like, no,
Denial?
no, we're not racist. Yes, more in denial.
Okay.
More of
yeah.
it's look at life and spin it rosy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Deny it.
Yeah.
Don't be negative. Don't look at things negatively like that. And I guess what was what I look back at, what was kind of what was missing a little was I guess kind of core values toward your career. Like the importance of doing something passionately. I don't remember that. I don't remember a lot of you're going to do something, you do it 110% and you show up and I don't they were just
my dad
professionals.
Yeah.
And work was work. And whatever.
My dad was an accountant. He was a vice president of a savings and loan, and he never sat any of us down and explained finances. You know, like here's how you make a budget. Here's how you keep your checkbook.
Yeah.
Here's how you, which always struck me like, years later, I don't know how they expected us to learn some of the stuff. Like, I guess it was through osmosis, but it was very much like I was raised I was told what to do. I wasn't shown what to do.
Yeah. Yes, me too. Me too, in a way. So again, if you're living in a city and your family has ties to that city, you've got this history and this context.
Yeah.
For it all, and this is how we came to live here, and this is this guy, I forgot who it was, had a really funny joke about the suburbs. He said, "I'm from the suburbs." When you're from the suburbs, you never hear the phrase "my people."
Ha!
Do you know what I mean? My
It's true.
I never heard things like my grandfather and his grandfather. We were just sort of existing. We weren't really wealthy, but my parents both had jobs they didn't love.
Yeah.
And so now you go get a job you don't love.
That you're not going to really love.
Yeah. It was just very disconnected.
Yeah. I felt like the word my mom used to use a lot was realistic. You need to be realistic, Joey. Joey, you're not being realistic. Is that a realistic thought?
Right.
Because I felt that same thing. Like, you guys don't seem happy. Why do I need to get good grades in school and go get a job that's going to make me miserable?
And so you remind me of a lot of young people I work with who, you had strengths that were not being acknowledged.
I like the way. Yeah,
It happens all the time. So that's what you remind
Yeah.
me of. You're sitting there, you're thinking, you got questions,
yeah,
and you're being discouraged. It doesn't. The people around.
Yeah,
It
'cause-
doesn't occur to parents sometimes to honor a kid's
yeah,
strengths, even if it doesn't appear to be going right into a career at
Right,
11 years
right.
old. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's the other
It's
thing too.
so-
Yeah, like I'm 11. I'm
I know.
11.
Parents
Yeah,
do
like,
that
let's-
all the time.
Yeah. Wow.
If a kid could be loving the guitar, right? And loving it, just
Yeah,
drawn to
yeah.
it. And I think, and I know I'm a shrink, and people are sick of. I do not consider myself a parenting expert, but I'm a parent, and so again, my kid
Yeah.
is not so passionate about costuming and cosplay. Okay, and we just let him do it.
Good for you. Good for you. That's as you should. That's
Yeah,
good parenting.
because you know what? It's funny. I don't even know if it's good parenting. It's the parenting that it's our parenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he could. I mean, think about it. My kid is brilliant at cosplay. That he could be working for Pixar, Disney one day. He could
Yeah.
be living in my basement, going to Comic-Cons. I have no idea, but he's jazzed about it. And
Yeah.
my thought is that's going to give him a chance to get confident. Get confident in something he loves.
That makes sense to me. Let me ask you this. Here's a big question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you said your parents got divorced at 6, which
Yeah.
was pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that influenced you in any
Yes,
way? Like
it
how you
did.
think about? Oh, wow, okay.
Yes. And this is a tough one because and if my parents heard this, they might get their feelings hurt. But I don't mean it that way. If you're
boy.
listening, I don't mean
Yeah,
it that
yeah.
way. But for the sake of our own consciousness, I don't think it's not that parents should stay together, but I think there's a grief and loss and a broken heart that I have a sense of that. You know what I
Wow,
mean?
okay,
I have a
yeah.
sense that I was kind of sad and lonely and brokenhearted that my parents weren't together. And I was only 6, so I cognitively
Yeah.
I couldn't put it together. And then I went to this, I had trouble learning in school. I was one of those kids that I was the other kind of intelligent. You know? Did you ever get that speech? There's a lot of different kinds of intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I wasn't the kind that could read. I wasn't that kind of intelligence. I still don't know what kind I was. I wasn't
Well,
the
seemed to have
kind.
worked out.
Yeah, it would eventually, and that's another thing. We grow out of shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was fine after a while. I settled into my ADHD brain, and I maybe got a little confidence. But I went to this private school that I loved, but again, I just couldn't read. I wasn't working out. But I turned into like a hellion. My mom has these progress reports from like first
dude.
grade.
You gotta dig these out.
Oh, if I could dig them up, I would. I would try to dig them up. Like Danny is very unpleasant. First,
yes. That's terrible.
oh, and I
Danny is
wasn't.
very unpleasant.
Oh, I was a
Wow.
night. I was a night. Anyway, I have a sense that I was acting out
Yeah.
because of. So yeah, and when I work with parents that get separated, I try to help them understand that you're doing a great job and you're amicable and you're friends, and parents have gotten much better at that. But there still might be a grief and loss for your kid. You got to
Right.
give them a lot of room to feel because
Yeah.
I'll tell you what screws up kids a little bit is when you're not allowed to have feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And-
Oh, that makes sense because I mean, we didn't talk about emotion
Right.
in my house. We didn't talk about feelings. We didn't do feelings, and I felt like the lesson I was getting, again, this is the one time where they weren't telling me. This is where they were showing me. Like any kind of emotion came up, you just like, yeah, we're not emotion people. We don't. If you have emotion, that's you tamp that down.
Right. And so there's that, and I get the sense you were kind of a conservative Christian-y kind of family, but even Portland hip liberal parents, we talk our kids out of feelings without thinking about it. So for instance,
wow,
you get divorced and there's a tendency to want to you want your children to be happy, and you kind of talk them into it. Okay, we're getting a divorce, and I'm moving, and I'm moving in with now I met someone new, and it's going to be good because of this and that and this and that. And kids are very smart, and they're able to realize, well, I have to be happy. What choice do I have? Because I don't got any control anyway. So so parents will sort of say, are you doing okay? Now you can always let me know if you have trouble with any of this. Can I really?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. How
Mike,
about we wait 10 years and then I'll just start burning things.
No, I can't. Mike was going to move in with Carol either fucking way.
Yeah.
No matter how Bobby felt. You're doing
Could you wait
what you're
to
doing.
Do that, Dad, until I process this feeling of loss?
Give me 5.
What if like an 8-year-old said that they would just be like, "Whoa.
Wow." Yeah.
I'm selling you to science.
But it's true though. Kids, what's the point in vocalizing feelings that is not going to help you out? And so often parents talk their kids into
That's fascinating.
Being happy with their divorce.
With their choices.
Right, because kids have to go, so it's just good to give it space, give it time, blah blah blah.
Wow.
Don't mean to get all shrinky.
No. That was I think that's
so
interesting.
my
I mean,
parents,
that's a good thing to remember.
Were very very good and very amicable, and they shouldn't have been married. My parents are. And
by the way, if you are Dan's parents and you're watching this,
Yeah.
please hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe, which they haven't.
Yeah. Do that for Dan
Yeah.
at least. You've
Like
let him
and
down.
subscribe.
Yeah.
And then we're
Like
good.
him,
And then we call
and
it
then that's
the
it.
divorce,
That's
no
it.
problem.
I'm all healed.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's true.
That's fair.
So